had their hand up? Yeah, there.
In Google Analytics, I've made some special reports so that I know when my website's getting traffic that's coming directly from Facebook or Twitter.
So that's another way to do it. You can look at the referrer, right, in your analytics to your website and go in and take a look at that. And what I'm going to say is we're going to have this conversation, and you could go back this weekend and you could set up your analytics, and I would bet money for sure if we got back here a year from now and we had this conversation and I ask you who looked at it every month, half. I know it for sure. When I started Webolutions, I provided all these analytics for our clients, and I figured they'd watch them. And they would call me when they saw something going wrong. And I found out that they'll pay me to go look at them and then tell them what's happening because now somebody's looking at it. And so you've got all these tools to measure, and you're busy and whatever. And I was thinking this morning, you know, who can tell me right now within 20 miles of what their odometer says on their car? Okay? Handful, right? And sitting right in front of you every day when you're driving. And so we just, you know, we're kind of living our lives, and we're not looking at these things. But set a date, set a time, make that 10% of time to go in and look at the things you set up, or don't spend time setting it up, but you're not going to know your ROI. It's kind of where I want to live. All right, so we're able to track Facebook likes, and we're able to then go in and manually look and say who's really buying. We're able to track through a couple of different tools. Hey, I'm participating in Facebook. How many clicks am I getting through to my website? Or more specifically, which is kind of more valuable. Hey, I ran this ad for something, or I posted something, and this one thing generated X number of visits. So let's say I'm posting 5 things a day on Facebook, and only one of them is getting clicked on, and that's generating my 14 clicks. I might go to Google Analytics and I might say, oh, my Facebook is working, but really I could probably eliminate 80% of my activity if I knew exactly which one of those things was working, right? And so, you know, that kind of gives you better information. So that's how you ought to do it. There's some advanced analytics programs as well that will show you those things, all right? Is there anybody that can track, I went from Facebook, I went to my website, they went to a form, they filled it out, and I generated X number of money from that specific post on Facebook? Okay? And how do you guys do that?
We use Google Analytics. They have the content page, so you can track where are you landing, where are you going after each page.
Okay.
Eventually, here's the contact form, and we give them a call. We follow up. That will be the ideal result.
Okay, very good. And what did you say you use?
Google Analytics.
So you use Google Analytics. All right, and then does it tie into your accounting system so that you know how many purchases they bought?
We have the contact form on almost every page, service page, portfolio, and a contact page.
Okay.
So if they reach us from that page and we can track where were they before the contact, then we know whether it's from social media or other resources.
Okay, very good. So if you spend enough time and energy, you can hook up through your analytics. Here's a post, here's my URL. Then they come to my website. You can see those lands. Then you can say, did they go to a form? And did they fill out that form? And then that form will go into your contact relationship management system, which is tied to your accounting system. And then that will keep track of all the money that they've spent over the last year, right? And then you'd be able to go in and look and say, okay, so for Facebook throughout history, I've generated $56,000, and I'm tracking my time investment. So, you know I spend 3 hours a day, and that equates to, 250 days a year, 750 hours equals $56,000 equals this much ROI. So when we sit and talk about ROI, to really know that, it gets kind of complicated. And so I guess I want to have a conversation. How can people do this? Yeah.
What about the time that you spend looking at social media but not necessarily trying to generate sales or putting anything out there? I think that's really important.
I think that's got to be in your R part of it, right? Or, I'm sorry, your I part of it.
I think it's a big I. And I think
yeah.
Even like right now with my situation having changed recently, where I don't have as much time to put stuff out that's worth reading necessarily. Yesterday,
I'm putting a lot out there, but yeah.
It's hot out here. And I'm like, well, that was a waste of life. life, but I posted it anyway. But I still make time every day to look at Facebook, to look at Twitter, to read stuff, because I want to know what you guys are doing.
Let me ask you this. Would I write that down in my I time? Is that an investment in social media marketing? And boy, I don't have an answer for this. I'm 50-50. I'm on the fence. Or is that just part of being in business today, and it's not the I in my marketing part?
I work with a couple clients, and I give them a checklist and say, how much time do you have to invest in social media? They say, well, I'd like to do it in 20 minutes a day. So then I give them a checklist, and on the checklist it says, Twitter, check your followers and decide who you want to follow back. We have a little checklist, and then we start with an egg timer. And I say, do not get distracted. You have to put your blinders on. It's disciplined, but you've got 20 minutes to get through Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube and check the activity, and your objective is to engage. When that 20 minutes is done, you're done with social media today. And it takes time, but like going to the gym, you have to learn what you can fit into your hour at the gym, but you decide first how much time you have, and then figure out what you can do and follow a checklist, and it takes discipline.
I completely agree. It used to be that you would pay somebody to do advertising for you. But if your time is the investment that you're making in this medium, then yeah, you have to do it like that, because you're not writing a check anymore. Somebody else used to give you a report on your marketing. It was passive. But if it's free, it's not free, but if you consider it to be free, then the investment has to be monitored like that, I think, to generate some sort of an ROI. And the big question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to do all that? It's not just this free thing that you go play on every day if we're going to really generate ROI. Yeah?
How do you consider the opportunity cost then? Because you can do other things. You have options. If your goal is to generate leads, you may not do social media. You may do cold calls. You may do direct email marketing. Then how do you consider that part? Is that also an I?
I think that yes, absolutely 100%. So the investment and doing those things, probably the other thing that you've got to do is add a factor on top of your actual leads to say, you know what, I'm out there in the world creating this much brand awareness and this much opportunity, and I'm reaching this network out there in the world that is going to turn into something, but you've got to assign a value to it on some level and say, I'm investing this and I believe I'm getting that, if we're really going to track ROI. And I'll tell you, when we do webinars, when we do seminars, whenever we talk about things, this is always the big topic. How do I know my ROI? And the answer is, it's a real labor to figure out exactly what your ROI is, and that's why it's such a mystery in social media marketing. Yeah, Mike?
Yeah, Phil's got a comment back. I hear the comment about the 20 minutes, and I understand that. I'm an independent contractor, so I'm the IT department, okay? I'm just kind of of the mindset that I want my social media working for me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I know I can't do it. So I'm going to be forced to have to get somebody to help me with that. Possibly hire someone to do my content. Well, there's a lot of content out there in my business, so I'm going to have to, I'll have to write a little content myself, but most of it's linking content. But I got to work 24 hours a day. I know, and they're looking for a home to buy. If I'm asleep, that's okay. I want my media working for me. I want that person to find me.
You talked to me earlier, Bill, about a business plan, right? So you're going to figure out in that business plan how many hours that you have and how much budget you have to throw at that. And what you're getting at is that's a much bigger I, and so you need to get a much bigger R for that I. Right? So the equation becomes you figure out the variables in the equation. And
Right.
Play.
Yes.
Everyone said a word that's kind of an interesting buzzword. And the word is content. From my experience, there's sort of like 3 different playing fields or 3 different camps. Camp 1 is, as long as I'm just throwing something out there, it'll be spaghetti and eventually it'll stick to the wall. Camp two is, I don't care what I'm throwing out there, at least it's getting out there and something will be picked up. And camp three is target keywords, target what's going on in the country, target what's going on seasonally, target what's going on in your business, and promote that. And then just by nature of how Twitter and Facebook and your blogs and how search engines work, your keywords will generate your findability, your ability to be found, or how many customers are seeing you or interacting with you, and that will be your gauge. There's things to do and there's things not to do. And the thing that I wanted to broach to you, because I have a real bugaboo about it, is people who kind of post what they're doing. I'm at a convention in Las Vegas. I'm having a great time. How about you? And get zero. I mean, it's just like you could hear the crickets chirping.
Mm-hmm.
And so, can you talk a little bit about sort of those cricket chirping emails where you're putting it out there and ain't nobody talking about it?
Yeah. So we have a session on developing content, and I think it goes to the audience that you're trying to attract and the audience you're trying to reach, and what you have that's going to add value to their life and to their day. Peter?
Real quick, Garrett, are you here? Yeah. Garrett is here to put stuff online about this meeting.
Very good. And I love the fact that you can just shout in a room and somebody will raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm here. So what did you put out? Yeah.
I just posted information about today's meetup, and you don't want to do it to a person up front's point. You don't want to do it repeatedly every day. No one really cares.
Because it's bothersome.
But
Yeah.
strategically, I'm obviously a social media guy, for better or for worse. So me posting information about the social media meetup hopefully is useful to the people who've chosen to follow me.
So it's useful for two reasons. It shows you're in the middle of things, and here's stuff going on. I'll add value, hopefully, to Garrett's day. We'll ask him after we're done today. I'll add value to Garrett's day, and you're getting out there and you're present, and so it's really good. Yeah.
John, I was thinking about just now when you were talking, for those who don't know, I'm with ICOSA, the magazine now, and if you've ever read ICOSA, it's pretty heavy duty. It's like a little cerebral. And we consulted with someone who's from the magazine industry a while back who said the problem with your magazine is it's not a TV dinner. It's TV dinners have meat and potatoes and that little dessert
It's a
thing.
buffet.
It's all meat. You need to have you need to have things people will just pick up and read for a second because they just want to look at the magazine and they don't really want to think too much. I think the same might apply in this instance. Yesterday I posted, it's hot. I did it on purpose because I hadn't posted anything in a couple days and I just kind of wanted to raise my hand and say, hey guys, I'm still here. I don't care if you don't care. But tomorrow or this afternoon, but later today I'll probably post something really weird about clean tech after the Renewable Energy Task Force,
right,
about STEM education, and some people don't care about that. They'd rather talk about how hot it is. So I think you have to post a little bit of everything to try and engage different folks. That's my opinion.
Other opinions on that? Yeah.
Well, it's important to post relevant content and content that people will find interesting. You also need to have your personality in there. It can't just be, here's another thing about real estate, here's another thing about real estate, because people will go, I don't want to hear about real estate, but wow, I just had the most amazing cinnamon pear ice cream. They're going to go, ooh, that sounds good. And it's a personality within your brand. Instead of just, I am a serious realtor, it's, wow, you're a real person too.
So yeah, that's good. So, Peter, you're a social media person, so you posting about that topic is good. Kim may be saying, it's hot. I might go, yeah, that's, there she is saying that. And so, yeah, you develop your personality a little bit on there, I think.
My company's dinner for 6, so I post on food. Now this morning, I posted on the Lafayette Peach Fair going on. It says, wouldn't it be great to have a peach cobbler with ice cream on it today? So a little bit of the personality.
And so it's the other things in the TV tray, not the meat, I reviewed this, whatever, but still related to what your audience might expect from you, huh? I love that. Yeah.
I might put a different spin on it. I really think it depends on your client. My major client is a healthcare consulting client. And I can assure you that with physicians and practice administrators and healthcare administrators at Health One aren't going to want to hear about that. Not poo-pooing, so to speak, on what you're saying, but you really have to look at the market that you serve.
Is your social media target audience only your clients? I just want to ask that.
No, for the client on her website, yeah, it is.
Okay,
For
so
our clients, we keep it strictly, and again, just kind of putting different segments in there because I think it matters.
So your target audience, yeah, and you've kind of got to say who would care about these things, or just say, hey, I'm awake today, I'm doing something today, or this is related to that, or here's an event that I go to. It's fascinating because I don't think there's a right answer here. We kind of ask the question, what should it be? And if I'm in an extremely technical industry and I'm an engineer and we're talking about trends in structural integrity in building large infrastructure projects or something, and I say it's hot, that might not fly. But if I'm part of a community and we talk about all kinds of things all the time, and I haven't said anything for a while, I want to pop out and say hello, then that's totally cool, right?